Hello and welcome to another Home Time Art Challenge with Mrs. White. Today we are going to do a Frida Kahlo inspired self-portrait. If you saw my read aloud with the book Frida and Her Animalitos yesterday, this is going to make total sense. If not, you might want to go back and watch it. It's a great book that shows what inspired Frida, her really powerful story, and her favorite subject was to paint herself and express herself. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, this lesson is really all the way from kindergarten level all the way to 8th grade level. So you do you. Don't feel like you have to follow all of these rules, but I'm just going to give you some basic portrait drawing techniques. You feel free to draw and use what you want and just kind of go for the rest, okay? So here I'm starting. It's so light. Sometimes I listen to my draw light till you get it right rule a little too much in my videos, don't I? But I'm just starting with a circle. So you can kind of see it. I'm moving my arm around, doing like a C and then a backward C to get a nice symmetrical circle. And then I'm just adding the chin down, tapering inward. I would look in a mirror or look at a picture of yourself to kind of see what kind of shaped face you have. We all have different shaped face. That's what makes us unique and interesting. There, I'm really lightly, and this is one of those rules you don't have to follow, but just so you know, I'm halfway down in the face is where your eyes are. And right now you're probably like, no, that's not true. My eyes are at the top of my head. You are wrong. Go look in a mirror and make sure you're thinking about even at the top where your hair is, halfway down is where your eyes are. So that is probably rule 1 of portrait drawing, is to remember that eyes are halfway down our heads. Okay, so there I'm drawing the eyes. I like to do the eyes where they're like a slanted line and then a curved line on the top and then that curved line on the bottom. And that just helps me get my eyes symmetrical, meaning that they're the same on both sides. Then I do another line halfway between those eye line and the chin for the nose. And an easy way to do the nose is just to do a little light, kind of like a smiley face in the middle where your nostrils are. And then a C and a backward C on the other side of it, kind of like if you were doing parentheses, if you know what those are. And then that bridge of your nose, that line that goes down your nose really lightly. Now, halfway between the bottom of my nose and my chin is where my mouth is. So that's why I do that really light line. Again, you do not have to follow these rules necessarily unless you want to. But if you're trying to be realistic, this is when you do it. Obviously, art does not have to be realistic. Talk to Picasso, right? And for that lip, we do the expression line, which is the line between your lips, unless you're trying to draw your face open, and then you would do your teeth there. The top is kind of like, you know, where we would draw the birds where they're like M's, and then another kind of smiley face for that bottom line. Then you get to move up to your hair. So surprisingly, your hair does come down lower than you think, especially if you have bangs, and it actually goes higher than where your head is. So especially if you have really pretty fluffy hair, unlike Mrs. White, it especially goes a little bit higher than your head. So this is that time where you want to draw that, frame your face with the hair line. When you're drawing hair, the number one mistake people try to do is draw every single hair. You do not have to draw every single hair. This is one of those times where you can be a little lazy. You draw the shape, the outline of the hair, and then you can go in and add the highlights where like the part is, or some flyaways, or like I did my little messy bun that I always have. And don't forget those eyebrows. We don't want Mona Lisa, right? Did you guys know Mona Lisa doesn't have eyebrows? Okay. Okay, then you can add color however you want. I decided to go with crayons today just because I hadn't used crayons in a while. And for some reason, I apologize, my phone was not working well, so you don't get the whole effect of my coloring. But basically, I started with the darker parts first to make that more interesting. And you can see I'm going with the flow of the hair. So I'm not coloring back and forth, I'm coloring with the curve of my hair. and I'm getting those darker values or pressing harder where it would be darker, which is usually on the edges or any place where there would be shadows. So I'm trying to do that part first, and then I go back in and add the lighter parts. Again, not trying to draw every single hair strand, just kind of getting that shape. I do the same thing for my face, which you don't get to see. I'm sorry about that. But with that skin color, I really tried to do like the things that are darker. So around my eyes, which is recessed a little bit, that shadow, around my nose, the edges of my face, all of those places that are darker I did first, and then I just lightly filled it in. Then you get to add your background. So this is what Frida was famous for, right? She really valued she was very proud of her Mexican heritage, so she would do a lot of things that represented her Mexican heritage on the background or the frames of her self-portraits. She always, but a lot of times she would include her animals, and like we talked about in that book, she had a bunch of really fun animals like turkeys and a parrot and some monkeys, right? So these are my pets. I meant to do it in black and white, but I think they turned out cool that I printed them in color. But don't feel like you have to do that, or maybe you have pictures lying around at home, or you can just draw them if you don't have printing capabilities. That would be fun too, right? So here are my animals. This is my Finn. He's the big white dog. Yui's the little brown one. I kind of messed up and turned him too small. And then my two cats, Rezzy and Figaro, and Terrence hamster, Mint. So I glued them down. I decided that they needed to kind of become part of the picture and not look like they stood out. So that's why I added all the fun colors. Plus Frida was really cool with all her bright colors as well, and she wasn't super realistic. So I thought it would be fun to kind of mess them up. Remember we talked about that's how she learned to draw and paint, was by doing touch-ups on her dad's photography. So I thought that would be a little nod to Frida too, how she inspired me. So I thought that brought the whole thing together. I added color to my photographs that I glued down, and then I still felt like it kind of needed things brought together, so I went back with markers and I outlined, and then I did the last little bit with the black. If you look at a lot of Frida's work, she did use kind of strong black outlines sometimes, so I thought those little highlights kind of reminded me of Frida and did the job of bringing everything together in my drawing. So I hope you like this. I cannot wait to see what you do. Remember, these are all suggestions or little tips. You do not have to follow every single one. A self-portrait above all should express you. So you do you, and I cannot wait to see what you come up with. Don't forget to upload it to Artsonia so we can all see it, and you can be entered in that drawing. I believe we don't have announcements on Monday, so I'll talk to Miss Almirano about we'll do it on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.